Welcome back to day 2 of the sport climbing events at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Yesterday, we saw things kick off with the men's Boulder semifinal and the women's speed qualification rounds. You can check the description for that day 1 video. Today, we have a similar format except that it's flipped, with the women's Boulder semifinal and the men's speed qualification round. That means that half of the 68 sport climbing athletes got to begin their Paris 2024 journey yesterday, and the other half begin climbing today. As mentioned in yesterday's video, we'll talk about athletes, competition format, scoring, and ultimately the day 2 results and top moments. My name is August. Welcome to August Climbing. Through these videos, I'm excited to provide you with the Olympic sport climbing information you need in one location through a concise daily recap. This is also a place where you can come and interact with other Olympic sport climbing fans from all over the world. Today's first event was in the women's boulder and lead category, specifically the women's bouldering semifinal. We saw 20 women competing from 13 different countries. 8 of these athletes, or a full 40%, are Olympic sport climbing veterans, having competed at the Tokyo 2020 Games. This includes the reigning gold medalist, Janja Garnbret of Slovenia, and Tokyo's silver medalist, Miho Nanaka of Japan. Now for a brief explanation of today's competition format. This will be a bit repetitive if you watched yesterday's video, so feel free to skip this chapter if you already understand the Boulder semifinal format and scoring. For this bouldering semifinal, the athletes were in isolation and were not allowed to see the routes ahead of time. There were 4 boulder problems with 5 minutes allotted for each athlete to try each boulder problem. Up to 4 climbers were competing at the same time, which made things quite exciting to watch. The scoring for this round is a maximum of 100 points. To achieve this perfect score, a climber would have to top all 4 boulders on the first try, which is also known as a flash. But there are points which can be gained even without a top. Reaching the first zone, kind of a checkpoint if you will, is worth 5 points. Reaching the second zone is worth 10 points. But best of all, reaching the top of the boulder would earn a climber 25 points. 0.1 points are deducted for each failed attempt, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it does act as a scoring mechanism to spread out the athletes' results. The scores today will be combined with the women's lead semifinal on Thursday, August 8th. And then the athletes with the top 8 combined scores will advance to the final. So the results today only show the rankings after the boulder round, and no one has yet been eliminated from the women's boulder and lead event. And now for the day 2 women's bouldering semifinal results. This is your opportunity to skip this chapter if you don't want to know the results yet. Today's boulder semifinal did not disappoint. If you like to see boulders being topped, today was your day. In stark contrast to the men's boulder semifinal on Monday, where tops were few and far between, in this women's semifinal, there were tops aplenty on all 4 boulder problems. Competitors started out on the right side of the boulder wall, climbing on B1, the power boulder. As each athlete progressed through the competition, they also attempted B2, the electric boulder, B3, more of a coordination style problem, and finally B4, the technical slab problem to the furthest left side of the boulder wall. Erin McNeice of Great Britain came out strong and got the first top of the day on boulder number 2, only 20 minutes into the competition. She also got to the top of boulder number 3. But as it would turn out in this competition, with so many boulders being topped, if you wanted to end up in the top 4 of these results, you had to top at least 3 boulder problems. And the real star athletes of the day did just that, topping 3 of 4 boulder problems and putting on a great performance for the audience at Les Bourget and, of course, for us at home. I'm talking about Oriane Berton of France, Brooke Rabatou of the United States, and Oceana McKenzie of Australia. But the story doesn't end there, because there was one climber who ended in first position after this round by topping all 4 boulder problems. I'm sure you can guess who it is. The GOAT, Janja Garnbret of Slovenia. She came out and flashed boulders number 1 and 2, making it look easy peasy. Boulder 3 took her 2 attempts, and Boulder 4 was the only one that gave her a bit of trouble. She was the last and only competitor out at that point, and the audience was really cheering her on. Janja was trying to figure out this tricky leftward traverse that involved delicate footwork. But in true Janja fashion, she found a way to bypass this part with a dynamic hop to the final section of B4, and of course a top not long after that. Janja finished with a 99.6 out of a possible 100 points for this round. Let's take a look then at these official results so you can see what I'm talking about. In positions 2 through 4 here, we have those competitors that we mentioned who topped 3 of the 4 boulder problems, all finishing with scores around that 80-point mark. And somewhat surprisingly, positions 5 all the way down to 11th place after this round, each of those athletes topped 2 boulder problems, but you still see quite a spread in the results here based on the other boulder problems, whether they reached a first or second zone. And any competitor who finished below that, topping 1 or fewer boulders, ended with a score of less than 50 points, and so they will need a very strong lead performance in the next round if they want to have a chance of continuing on to the final. In case you're curious and like some stats here, B1 by my count saw 25% of the field topping it. B2 was topped by 65% of the athletes, the most tops that we saw of any boulder. B3, similar to B1, 25% topped that boulder, and B4, 35% of the competitors reached the top of that one. And now we eagerly anticipate the women's lead semifinal in a couple of days. And now let's talk about the men's speed event, which kicked off today at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. This one is riveting to watch, not only because of the speed, but also because the competition format is set up that after just one day, 8 of the men's speed climbing athletes are advancing to the quarterfinals, while for the other 6 climbers, their Paris 2024 journey has come to an end. We will get to those results in just a moment, but first off, 14 athletes are participating from 11 different countries. China, Indonesia, and the United States each have 2 athletes participating, while France, Iran, Italy, Kazakhstan, New Zealand, South Africa, South Korea, and Ukraine have 1. Of these 14 athletes, only 1 has previously competed at the Tokyo 2020 Games. That is Bassa Moem of France, who took 8th place at Tokyo's combined format. Moem holds the Olympic speed climbing record with a time of 5.45 seconds. Also in the field of competitors is the men's world record holder, Samuel Watson of the United States, with a time of 4.79 seconds set in competition in April of this year. Today's competition saw the seeding round and elimination heats. For the seeding round, all 14 athletes climbed the 15-meter speed wall twice, one time in lane A and the other time in lane B. The fastest of their 2 times was then used to rank the athletes from 1 all the way down to 14. This then set up things for the elimination heats, where the climbers raced head-to-head based on their rankings. So first place went up against 14th place, second against 13th, third against 12th, and so on. The winner of each heat advanced to the quarterfinals. Thus, 7 athletes advanced by winning their heat, and the 8th athlete advanced by being the fastest climber to lose their heat. And now for the men's speed climbing results. You can skip this chapter if you don't want to know what happened yet. The men's speed climbing qualifications were exhilarating to watch today. We had some heartbreak, a new Olympic and world record, and the oldest competitor at these games advancing to the next round by winning his elimination heat. In the seeding round, we saw Vedrik Leonardo of Indonesia match Sam Watson's world record with a time of 4.79 seconds. It quickly became clear that we were in for a record-breaking day. Disappointingly, Vedrik's teammate, Ramed Adi Mulyono of Indonesia had a false start in his second run, which immediately bumped him down to the 14th seeded place according to the competition rules. Next, in the elimination round, this set the two Indonesian athletes against each other in the first elimination heat, with Vedrik ultimately winning and advancing to the next round. Amir Mehmuratov of Kazakhstan won Heat 2 with a sub-5 time. Heat 3 saw the two American climbers, Sam Watson and Zach Hammer, race against each other. And this is the moment that we saw Sam Watson reach the top in a new world record time of 4.75 seconds. Also advancing by winning their heats were Matteo Zerloni of Italy and Peng Wu of China. Then David Julian of New Zealand raced a personal best of 5.2 seconds, winning his heat in an upset against Reza Alipur Shenazandafard of Iran, though Reza will still advance with the fastest time of any athlete who lost their heat. And finally, Heat 7 was a very special moment. 39-year-old Bassa Moem, who had previously dropped out of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics due to an injury, is back this year, and he raced a personal best of 5.16 seconds. In doing so, he beat Yaroslav Tkach of Ukraine by 1/100th of a second. Bassa's brother, Mikhail, was in the audience cheering him on, which was amazing to see. Be sure to comment with your top moment from today. We'll pick things up again tomorrow with the men's lead semifinal and the first medal event for sport climbing at these games, the women's quarterfinals, semifinals, and ultimately the finals. My name is August. Thank you so much for watching.